Hello everyone, welcome to Siddhi Academics. I'm Amrita. I firmly believe that you should keep trying until we get it right. Let's start our trial for today. In our last video, we have solved problems on direct variation. If you have any doubts, please let me know in the comment section. Now let's start with inverse variation questions. I bet you would not have come across these questions anywhere before. So you please stay with me. Please go through whatever questions I am solving so that you get a first-hand experience of how to solve these questions. If you are watching my videos and liking them, then please do like, share and subscribe to my channel Siddhi Academics. Let's start. Now let's start with inverse proportion. We have discussed already about direct proportion and also we have solved so many questions from direct proportion. So let's start with inverse proportion. Suppose if a quantity is increasing, quantity of a certain entity is increasing and in that same proportion the other quantity of another entity is decreasing, then we say that these two entities are in inverse proportion. Yeah, and vice versa is also happening. Like sometimes what happens, the first quantity that we are talking about, instead of increasing, it is decreasing, and there is a certain relationship between the decrease of the first quantity and the increase of the second quantity. In the same rate, the other quantity of another entity is increasing. Then also we can say that these two entities are in inverse proportion. Now let's look at some examples. 6 pipes fill a tank in 25 minutes. So 6 pipes are taking 25 minutes to fill a tank. Now what the question is asking us is how much time will 7 pipes of same type, not different type, same type, how much time will 7 pipes take? Definitely it will take less time, right? When pipes are less, 6 pipes in comparison to 7 pipes is less, then time taken becomes ulta. I should make the reverse arrow. If 6 pipes which are less, then time taken to fill the tank is more. Now when the number of pipe increases, 7 pipes it becomes, then the time taken will definitely be lower than 25 minutes. It has to be less than 25 minutes. So this is what is inverse proportion. So a school has 8 periods of 45 minutes each. So a school entire duration of the school has 8 periods divided into 8 periods and each period is 45 minutes. How long will 6 periods take if the school timings remain the same? School timings doesn't change, okay? The number of hours of school doesn't change, but the periods have reduced. 6 periods. 6 periods if they become, then what happens? Definitely the time taken will become more than 45 minutes for each period, right? So when the number of periods is more, the time taken is less. When the number of periods becomes less, time taken becomes more. So this is, you see, two entities, periods and duration of each period, that they are two different entities. One increases if number of periods increases, the time duration decreases, and vice versa. When 6 periods, when the number of periods in a school decreases, the time duration for each period is increasing. It becomes more than 45 minutes. So these are two classic examples of inverse proportion. Now, how do we write an inverse proportion? Now, what did we learn? We learned that when one entity, let's say x, is actually decreasing, the other quantity y is increasing. Or if the reverse is happening, x is increasing, that the other quantity y is decreasing, and the increase and decrease remain constant. Okay, so how do we define it? It will be like this: x1 y1 equal to x2 y2 will always, the product of these two entities, suppose 6 into 25, will always be equal to 7 pipes 7 pipes into time taken by 7 pipes. So this, if I replace this x1 with 6 and y1 with 25 minutes, then whatever the product I get, it will be same as if I replace x2 with 7 and try to find the value of y2. I can use this thing to find the value of y2. So What is 6 into 25 actually? 6 into 25 is 6, 30, 150, right? So 150 is a constant value, right? 150, that product will remain constant no matter how much increase or decrease we make in the number of pipes, and accordingly the time taken for the tank to fill up, accordingly it increases or decreases depending on that. Whatever happens, but the product will always remain constant, that is K. Okay, so K is the constant value which doesn't change. So this is what inverse variation is all about. So what we had learnt in direct proportion, how did the two entities vary? It was like this: x1 y1 equal to x2 y2 and so on will always remain constant. When we divide the two entities, the values, the division in, I mean quantity, what we got was constant, that was equal to K. Here in inverse proportion, the product of the two entities, x1 y1 x2 y1 so on, how many number of values you can add in between, will always remain constant K. Okay, so as we solve questions, you will get to understand about inverse proportion in a better way. So let's start with examples.
Now let's do inverse proportion. Questions based on it. Check if x and y vary inversely or not. So what did we learn? That x1, y1, the value of the two entities, if we try to find their product, it should be equal to x2, y2, as the value of x and y vary, and we try to find their product, then all of these will always remain constant. So if I try to find this x1 y1 product, it should be equal to x2 y2, and it should be equal to x3 into y3 and x4 into y4. All of these lead us to the same number, then definitely x and y vary inversely. So let's check for x1 y1. 30 into 48 will be how much? 0 will come here. 3 8s are 24, 2 gets carried over, 3 4s are 12, 12 plus carried over 2 is 14, so it becomes 1440. Similarly, we can do for x2 y2 as well. 120 into 12, so I'll first write the 0, then we have to do 12 into 12. 12 into 12 is always 144. 12 square is 144, so that's again 1440. Now what about x3 y3? If we try to find their product, 60 into 24, so that will be, again I'll write the 0. 6 4s are 24, 2 gets carried over, 6 2s are 12, 12 plus carried over 2 is 14, again 14400. Now 8 into 180, last one. If this is also 14400, then we are checking variation which belongs to inverse proportion. So 0 comes here, then 8 8s are 64, 6 gets carried over, 8 1s are 8, 8 plus carried over 6 is how much? 14. So you can see all of these come up to the value, the product of all of these come up to the value to be 1400. Constant value is 1400. So we can definitely say yes, x and y are calculation. Okay? This is how you solve questions based on inverse variation. Now let's solve some more questions. So here the question says, if x and y vary inversely, find the value of L, M and N. So again we can use, see here these two values x2 y2 are given to us. We can find their products first. So 32 into 12, if we do, what it will be? It will be, I think 32 into 4 I'll do first. That will be 128, and then into 3. If I do, what it will come up to be? 3 is at 24, 2 gets carried over, so 6 plus 2 8, so 384. So this 24 into L, that is x1 and L, should also come up to be 384. Definitely, if they are varying inversely, it's already given us they vary inversely. So we can assume and go ahead and write 24 into L is equal to 384. So L will be equal to 384 divided by 24. So I'll directly divide with 24. 24 ones are 24. 24 once at 24 again. So if you subtract 24 from 38, what it will come up to be? It will be 12. So sorry, 14, 1 4, 144 it will become. So it will become 144. So it 24 into 6 is 144. So L is equal to 16. This is what we get the value of L to be. Similarly, we can use the same equation and find out the value of M. 8 into M will be equal to 384. Definitely constant remains the same. So 384 divided by 8 will be how much? 8 4s are 32. So 38 minus 32 is 6. So 6 comes here, 64. 8 8s are 64. So M's value it will be equal to 48 here. Okay, and similarly we can do 16 into n. 16 into n is equal to 384. So n's value will be how much? 384 divided by 16. So you see 24 into 16 is 384. From this we can infer that the other n value will be equal to 24. No need of trying to divide. So directly with 16 I divided 384 and the value will definitely be 24. So here n value is equal to 24. So this is how you can use the inverse proportion equation to find out the values which are varying inversely. So here the question says, if x and y vary inversely, find the value of L, M and N. So again we can use, see here these two values x2, y2 are given to us. We can find their products first. So 32 into 12, if we do what it will be? It will be, I think 32 into 4 I'll do first. That will be 128 and then into 3. If I do what it will come up to be? 3 is at 24, 2 gets carried over. So 6 plus 2, 8. So 384. So this 24 into L, that is x1 and L, should also come up to be 384. Definitely if they are varying inversely, it's already given us. They vary inversely. So we can assume and go ahead and write 24 into L is equal to 384. So L will be equal to 384 divided by 24. So I'll directly divide with 24. 24 once are 24. 24 once are 24 again. So if you subtract 24 from 38, what it will come up to be? It will be 12. So sorry, 14, 1 4, 144 it will become. So it will become 144. So it 24 into 6 is 144. So L is equal to 16. This is what we get the value of L to be. Similarly, we can use the same equation and find out the value of M. 8 into M will be equal to 384. Definitely constant remains the same. So 384 divided by 8 will be how much? 8 4s are 32. So 38 minus 32 is 6. So 6 comes here, 64. 8 8s are 64. So M's value it will be equal to 48 here. Okay, and similarly we can do 16 into n. 16 into n is equal to 384. So n's value will be how much? 384 divided by 16. So you see 24 into 16 is 384. From this we can infer that the other n value will be equal to 24. No need of trying to divide. So directly with 16 I divided 384 and the value will definitely be 24. So here n value is equal to 24. So this is how you can use the inverse proportion equation to find out the values which are varying inversely. In a fort, 150 men had provisions for 150 days. After 10 days, 25 men left the fort. How long would the food last at the same rate? So, assuming that all of the men eat the same amount of food every day, after 10 days, from the provisions were there for 150 days. So after 10 days, when the 25 men leave, already 10 days of provision is over. So I can say that provisions left after 10 days will be equal to 140 days. 150 minus 10 is 140. So that much provision is left. So 150 men could eat the same food. Now it was enough for them for 140 days, right? After 10 days, had all the men been still continuing, 25 men would not have left. So what would have happened? The same food would have lasted for them for 140 days, because that's how the food was kept in the food. Now what will happen for the 25 men after 25 men leave? So 150 minus 25 is how much? 125. So 125 men, if they are to consume the same provision, it will take definitely more number of days. When people were more, number of days the provision would have lasted was less. Now since the number of people have decreased, the the number of days for which the food would last would now increase. Obviously, this is an obvious inverse proportion. So what do we do here? We will multiply directly. So 150 into 140 is equal to 125 into x. Okay, the multiplication has to be direct here. So x will be equal to 150 into 140 divided by 125. So let's divide by 5. So 5 2s are 10, 5 5s are 25. Here 5 2s are 10, 5 8s are 40, 5 5s are 25. So 5 3s are 15, 0, 5 1s are 5, 5 6 are 30. So what is left is 6 into 28. So therefore x will be equal to 6 into 28. 6 8s are 48. 4 gets carried over. 6 2s are 12. 12 plus 4 is how much? 168. So now the same provision will last for 125 men for 168 days. We could solve this question only after establishing that yes, we are dealing with a question from inverse proportion. First, when a word problem like this comes, you first identify whether the question belongs to direct or inverse proportion. Then accordingly move ahead and solve the question. In case of inverse proportion, you know x1 y1 is always equal to x2 y2. Therefore, try to find the products like we found the product of 150 into 140 here and equated it with 125 into x number of days. Then you can go ahead and find the number of days for which the food would last. Alright, I hope I am clear. Let's solve some more questions.